This is Oklo. It's a nuclear power plant company. So basically, they build nuclear and they rent it out for electricity. And basically, they just sell their electricity that they build from nuclear. And it's a stock that's been going crazy recently. In fact, this year, it went up 652%, which is insane for a nuclear energy stock, which are relatively supposed to be stable. It reached from like a market cap of like basically millions of dollars to $20 billion, which is absolutely insane. Again, for an electric supplying company. Their goal is to basically build nuclear for AI. They want to support the AI revolution with nuclear power plants because they use a lot of energy. Well, if they use a lot of energy, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So they've got an insane valuation, right? So let's look at how many power plants, nuclear power plants they own. This is a list of all the nuclear power plants in America and all of the companies that own them. And if we were to control F for Oklo, that's crazy. There's 0 out of 0. That means Oklo doesn't own a single nuclear power plant. They have not built a nuclear power plant. They don't own one. They haven't leased one. They don't share it with anybody. They own none. And the company is worth $20 billion. That's insane. This literally suggests a bubble. Like, this is what a bubble means. When you haven't done anything, you haven't built anything, and you have this big of a valuation. So why did they get this insane? Well, that's because of AI, of course, and how much energy AI uses. So let's talk about that first before we talk about this company, because that's very important. How much energy does AI use? This is a graph of all the energy, all the compute in America has been using. So all the data centers, and specifically the gray, blue, green, and dark blue. Those are the specific AI data centers. And you can tell that they've obviously increased a lot, right? And that equates to, in a year, AI is consuming around 60 terawatt hours of electricity, which is a big amount. And from all the news that you guys have probably heard, you would assume that this is probably like 20% of all electricity consumed, maybe even 30%. No, this is 1% of the total energy that America consumes. That's it. It only uses 1% of all it's consumed. Maybe in the future it's going to consume a lot more, but for now, let's look at right now, it consumes 1%. Right now, AI isn't all that, right? The goal is eventually it's gonna get really big. For now, it's a good chunk of electricity, but not that much, which is what Oklo is betting on, that it's gonna grow insane amounts. That's what I want to talk about next. Companies building and deploying AI models are largely quiet when it comes to answering a central question. Just how much energy does interacting with one of these models use? And what sorts of energy will power AI's future? That means at this very moment, not Meta, not OpenAI, not Google or Gemini, not Grok, none of them have disclosed how much energy they're actually using. We can guess the total AI market, but what we actually want is what each of them are using per year and how much each query is taking. Like when you ask it a question, right? Like, how does my dick taste? Like, when it answers that, how much energy is it using and how much does it grow, or how much each token is using? That's a very important question to know the answer to before you can start guessing how much energy it's going to take. From 1%, how can you say it's going to grow all the way to 30% or 40% where we'll actually need nuclear when we don't even know how much it uses? We can, but it's not all hopeless. We can kind of guess how much energy it uses, like per query or per token. You can guess based on the open models, right? You have like Gemini 2 here or Llama, right? And it can get us per response, right? It uses, for example, Llama 3.1, 70 billion parameters. It uses 5.12 joules of energy. But that doesn't mean anything because we don't know how many responses they're getting, how much this actually means in the real world. This for like one GPU or two GPUs, how much is it when you get a cluster of GPUs, and how much is it and also how many queries people are getting from these AIs. Like, without that, this is kind of worthless. And The AI companies refuse to give that to us. So it's impossible to make a guess on whether energy demands are actually going to go that high. But you would assume that insiders probably know. The government probably knows, right? How much these AIs are taking because they know all the information. The insider traders know all the information. Well, I'm here to tell you that most likely those are very, very inflated numbers. All of these models that predict the future are very inflated. Even the experts in the market are saying that.
So you're not that worried about that the energy needs will be met.
Well, look, I think in time, I mean, it's clearly tight and people are working around it. You see some projections for like hundreds of gigawatts. There's actually a lot of double counting in those numbers or a lot of uncertainty there. I'll give you two examples. Let's say a customer is looking for a big deployment in a given geography. They might go to 4 or 5 different data center companies and say, hey, what can you do for me? Well, then they all turn around and go to the utility and ask for what the utility can do.
Right.
So the utility gets 5 requests that really
for
represent
just one customer.
So again, most likely the numbers AI companies are projecting or the government is projecting is way more, way higher than what it's meant to be right now. And most likely it won't go that high because it's only using 1%. The only way it could go to 30% or 20% of America's energy is if every single person is spending $20,000 on AI, which is not happening anytime soon. Even right now, it can barely answer questions properly. So let's go back to Oklo, right? Why is this company going insane? Why does it have a $20 billion valuation? But like they do have some value, and mainly it's in the connections they have with the important people. The two biggest connections are that Sam Altman used to be a board chair in this company before he stepped down. So that's a very important connection that you already have. Like the chairman is the CEO of your customer, OpenAI, right? Which is very nice. OpenAI is obviously gonna prefer Oklo because they know the inside out of that company. But again, they haven't built a plant to even support their customer, and it's not like the customer is even gonna buy that yet. And another big thing in this specific government, Chris Wright, he's serving as the energy secretary since February 2025, and he was also on the board of Oklo. So it's also a good connection to have in the government where the Trump government basically runs like a kingship, where you need to ask for favors from the government. And it's also nice for someone to speak up for your side in this type of government. So these are the two big connections. That's the reason why people really like Oklo over any other nuclear stock. But again, these two things, that's it. And on top of this, not only have they not built a nuclear power plant, all they're doing is testing a new type. So nuclear is already a very risky investment. And on top of that, they're piling another risk of trying a new technology in nuclear. So right now, they have tried sodium-cooled reactors. So instead of water, they would use sodium water, I believe. I'm not entirely sure on that, but it has been tried before in America, making sodium-cooled reactors a bunch of times, like 3 or 4 times, and they have failed every time. And this is not like a new technology that's been not explored. It's already been explored. And they've already been denied a new sodium-cooled reactor in 2022. That's the most They've already been denied a sodium-cooled nuclear reactor in 2022, but they keep trying to do this, and they haven't gotten any license to even start building or thinking about a nuclear reactor, which is insane. So this company is pre-revenue, pre-customer, pre-idea, pre-dick and balls, and it's worth $20 billion. The frenzy right now is so bad, it's insane. The idea that the reason investors are supporting them is eventually AI will spend money on their energy sector because the price of energy is getting too high, and eventually a lot of people are going to start using AI, and it's going to go take over the world, and that's when we'll need nuclear, and that's what this company is set up to do. But that is in the decades. You have to think so long term for that to happen. Before that, most likely the AI bubble is going to pop. And there's just another funny thing: zero revenue. Like you look at their balance sheet for income. They don't even say income; it's just other income, and then it's blank. This interest and dividends are just like stock investments or like most likely bonds that they hold. But real income, a dash, bro. It's a dash. It's too funny, like, actually. So, let's actually take a look at the numbers and how much it takes to build a nuclear power plant. At the very minimum, it takes $30 billion to even start building a nuclear power plant. And these numbers are like 2022 numbers. We don't even know how much, like, it probably takes more right now. And it takes at least 10 years, 7 to 10 years, which is like decades of thinking. These companies are not ready for that. They are thinking about the next quarter. How do they get earnings? Like, this is so far beyond them. And to prove that, AI doesn't even have the money anymore to support a nuclear build out. They're too worried trying to build their own data centers first. Because right now, they have already ran out of their cash. Right? People are excited about AI and it's not in bubble because they're spending their own cash. They're not using debt. Meta right now sold $30 billion of bonds in their company. That means they're going to have to pay interest on that. They're borrowing money to just build out their data centers. They're already spending $30 billion for that. How do you think they're going to have an extra $30 billion lying around to build a nuclear power plant for fun when the energy is already met by the government and other suppliers? It's just impossible for them to build this out in the next like 2 years, which is when AI really needs to start showing its worth. So, their customers can't support nuclear. They haven't even built a nuclear power plant. They don't even have license to build one. The government they have done nothing to show that they can even build a nuclear power plant. But somehow this company is still worth $20 billion. So why is that? Well, it's mostly because of AI. Again, the AI bubble is getting into other sectors like energy. All they want to do, all the goal for AI and Sam Altman is to keep building hype. They want to use cool new technologies that AI needs to support it. Like, you need nuclear power plants. You need universal basic income for everybody because it's going to take all your jobs. It's going to give us AGI. We won't have to work anymore. Like, they're just trying to make the dream as big as possible so they can keep getting funded because they are already using debt to make these data centers. And everybody needs to genuinely stop falling for this hype. This is insane. This is mostly retail investors. All the smart people have already started shorting this stock. It's just retail investors buying into more of the AI hype when it's already reached the tipping point. It's gotten to the scary point now where we are borrowing money to support data centers. And this is even way beyond that, like maybe in the 10, 20 years. There are so many ifs and buts with this company. If AI takes over the actual world, like, it needs to show trillions of profits for this to even be worth. This is going to be in the next 10 years that we build this. You can't, if you start thinking about this right now, it'll be done in like 2050. We have gotten like so far ahead of the timeline for some reason. And the only reason this is even this high is because we don't know how much energy is being used by AI. We need to ask these AI companies to release how much energy they're actually using, because I promise you it's not that much. It's only a 1%. Even though it looks like a lot of money and energy is being used, because when you target a specific sector where all the data centers are located, yes, they're increasing the price of electricity a lot in those areas. But in the grand scheme of things, it's only 1%. So I hope you guys keep that in mind, and thank you for watching.